And I also just noticed that my mic was muted that entire time, so nobody heard what I was saying. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, so essentially we're just going to be starting off. I don't know why it doesn't switch uh the muted audio sources with wow, it doesn't switch to the muted audio sources with the scenes, which it's kind of surprising. I figure different scenes will have different audio sources anyway, and you wouldn't have to adjust that type of stuff live, but apparently you do. So essentially what I'm going to be doing here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on this. The board is more populated than it was before. The thing that I had showed before was the hot air station that we're going to be using to get the rest of this board flushed out. We have about seven, was it seven? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 more bags of the smaller resistors like these. And then we have what looks like 4 bags for the larger resistors there. So we're gonna go ahead. We got the hot air station queued up. We're moving at a crisp 35 air. I don't know. I don't know what the unit is for, but I have my air set to 35 and the temperature set to 450. That's what seems to be working best for me with my hot air station and solder paste. User experience may vary. I do like the hot air station over the other stuff, mainly over a regular soldering iron, because it seems like it's a lot harder to mess something up. Even though if you don't know what you're doing, you end up with like 2nd degree burns on your thumb, which is the reason why we kind of just jumped straight to the ECU. So that I'd have something out for you guys, just so while my thumb is healing, because the last thing I wanted to do was kind of mess my finger up even more after burning it when setting up this stream for the other day. So this baggie here, we're going off of R39 and R40. As you can see there in the bottom right hand corner, we got the schematic pulled up. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for me in full size. And it's a lot easier to use the schematic because everything's color coded. So with someone with ADD, it's a lot easier for your brain to be pulled to the colors than it is to the individual numbers here. Even though I did just spot R40 just by taking a glance, and R39 is right below it. So what I was doing to best get these resistors into place is when I first open up one, kind of lay it there and see where I'd have to bend it. So I use these because it would give me a sharper angle whenever I did bend it. Just kind of grab it there and bend it, and then do the same here. Tilt it up a little bit, and then bend it. And as you can see, the bend's pretty nice on that. Let's go ahead, slot it in. The other thing that I've kind of changed up doing as far as like my method goes for soldering this is I get them in place and then I just make a mental note of where they are. So far I haven't messed up. And then I go back and solder everything over because the solder paste is really good at flowing where it should and not where it shouldn't. So pretty much just kind of goes where you put it. It might ball up and kind of try and blow away on the board, but the good thing is if it does do that, the likelihood of it solidifying elsewhere is very low, because as soon as it blows away, it kind of cools down and it just turns into a little metal ball. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is just go ahead, get some paste on here. And I like to work one side at a time on each one. That's honestly just preference. When I was doing both sides on one of them, I'd have a lot of paste form under the resistor. So I kind of don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and get the air gun here. Getting these tips on here is kind of a pain in the ass, I've noticed. There you go. All right, so it's getting hot. It says it's at 350. So we're gonna go ahead, get this thing melted down. You kind of just hold it. I like to move it around, even though it's not as important on this. And you'll see it starting to melt on the edges. And this one's acting weird. There you go. It starts to melt on the edges, then melts all together. And what I do is I continue to hold it and after it goes into the hole until I see it come back up out, like right there. So you'll notice like it kind of all flows into the hole, and the diode, the little, I forget the lead, you'll see it pull around the lead and it will be like on the same plane, a little peak, and it will start climbing up the lead just a little bit. And I like to hold it there until it does that. And the thing about whenever we do this is when we flip the board over, you'll see that it's kind of, the solder paste has more or less done the same thing that it does over here, except you see there's the ball. I just had a ball kind of solidify and roll over here, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back where it goes. The only difference, it actually doesn't do what it does over here at all. It just kind of decides it wants to run down the lead, and this heat can't carry that far, so the lead just is kind of covered in solder paste, dried up solder paste. I'm just going to hold this here until this ball decides it wants to solidify like that. Keep going. Go ahead and drop down, buddy, please. Please? Are you really not going to? Okay. I'm going to put a little more paste on here just so we can get some solder in this point. Really not a whole bunch at all. Or not solder, but flux. That's the only reason why I did this, was so that I can get some flux in here, because it's trying to stay on the upper part of the lead. I need to come down like that. All right, and wait for it to touch the PCB like that. Come back up. Come back up. Oh, it is back up. Just can't see it from this angle. That's weird. All right. And then I kind of move to the other side of the board. I'm going to kind of take it easy right here because I do have another resistor sitting there. The same thing goes for this one. And of course that happens. But the good thing is it's really hard to bridge stuff here. I have this just in case solder goes to where it shouldn't be. But it's really hard to bridge connections. At least on the top side of the board, I've noticed. So I want to kind of blow that, go over. Okay, all of that solder went to the other resistor. Legit, not a single bit went to the one that I'm actually trying to solder. I want to put it behind the lead in hopes that does something. And I'm going to hold the air from over here. And I had a feeling that would happen, but as long as I continue to hold it here. It's kind of done what I needed it to do, but also not really, because there's now solder paste under the resistor. I'm going to try and heat that up and push it over to where it needs to go. Actually, is that solder paste? It looks more like flux than anything else. But while this one's heating up, I'm going to put a little more paste on the other one. Yeah, see, this one did the same thing that it did on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and take that ball, move it over, and then just melt that ball into, oh, unless it does that. There's not a single bit of flux on this, so. Wow, it blew right under the resistor. Alright. That melts it down onto it. Just continue to melt it until it drops down in the hole. Like so. Cool. Alrighty. So you can see these two here, the one that's in front of my middle finger, are the ones that we just did. It's kind of hard to see, just because of the simple fact that this this GoPro does not have the best autofocus as far as like things really close to the lens goes. But those are the two we just did. I'm trying to keep from touching it because it's super hot. As you can see, there's the solder face sitting at the bottom of those two leads there, like I was saying it would probably do. And what I usually do is from here is I'll put a little more at the base of it, even though it usually doesn't need it, but just for the sake of showing you guys what you need to do sometimes. I'll take some of this here. I'll just put it at the base. And then what I do, because it seems to translate the heat a lot better, is I'll stick this right starting at the top of the lead over it and run it all the way down. And that heat comes through so much easier. Like instead of me holding it there for like 5 minutes waiting for it to melt, this lead just kind of takes the heat all the way down to the bottom. Ooh. And this is why I usually have this set up with the little alligator clips when I'm doing this part. Put that back up. But the lead just kind of takes the heat all the way back down to the root of it there. And it kind of just does what it needs to do. It is pretty cool. Yeah, usually you don't have to add any more solder paste to the other side, because it's usually pretty good where it's at. It's usually in a good place. I don't know how that stuff got there. And what I'm actually going to do is, looks like that just kind of flowed up through the hole, so I'm going to kind of made it worse in some places on the board, because you'll notice it's now like a big ball on the other side. And if I'm going to have a ball somewhere, I'm going to have it on the bottom of it instead of up here up top. So go ahead, continue to heat it. There you go. All right. So that one took a little bit longer because I was trying to be particular about it. But now, if you want, you can go ahead and cut the leads and then move on to the next ones. I usually wait until I'm done, like either done for this point or am done with all of the resistors. So like, for instance, I won't cut those leads until I'm done with these last couple bags of this here. So we have this guy here, which goes into, says bit 373. I don't see anything that says bit 373. What? I don't see anything on this board that says anything along the lines of what this baggie says. So you can see right there. Come on. There you go. See the baggie says bit 37330 yada 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 blah blah blah. Yeah, all these resistors begin with R. And looking at the board, I'm not seeing anything on here that says BIP or BIP. So I'm going to double check the manual for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side. In the meantime, we're going to move on to the other resistors here. R24, 25, and 28. The R20s on over here. So we got 24, 25, 28. So it's all down here on the lower part of the board. Right between the capacitors, it looks like. So what we're going to do is, with these, I usually hold it from one side, pinch it from the corner, and pull it. And that's only so you don't get a whole bunch of adhesive on the other side of the diodes. And then I'll just grip the diodes and do the same thing on the other side. There you go. And the end of the diodes are pretty clean. Because I ran into an issue where every time I went to do one of these, it would be all sticky on the end of the, why am I saying diode? On the end of the lead. It was like super sticky and it was really annoying. Go ahead. Flip these guys. Oh, this one's in a weird spot. Alright, there you go. Just doing the same thing I said here before. And bending these in the way they need to be bent. So get a nice clean bend on them. Go on and stick in the leads in the holes. And I'm gonna go ahead and take the solder paste. I guess one of the ways to get around, actually it would probably still happen, but one of the ways you can get around having to flip the board over every single time is by preheating that part of the board before you put the resistor in. That way it already has a little bit of heat in it, so you don't have to sit here and hold this for nearly as long to get the solder paste to ball up. That's honestly the only objective, is waiting for the solder paste to ball up. Or the only thing you're really waiting for. Because once it balls up and goes to where it needs to go, which is usually pretty quickly after it balls up, you just move on to the next one. And as you can see there, this is going a lot quicker because of the simple fact that the heat from doing this part heated up the rest of the board there. So it didn't take nearly as long to ball up the solder paste there. And then things start moving a lot quicker. R22 and 21, which were populated right here. I'm not saying 23. R3 and 20. 14, 52, 1, and 23 is right there. See, if I were looking at the board instead of looking at the schematic on the screen, I would have noticed that. But I did not. So, yeah, we got 23 here. There's the corners. There's a really tiny guy. I think on the next set, I'm actually going to try and preheating the board. Now, right here is going to be interesting because we have this big metal pad right next to the diode or the resistor that we're working on. So as long as it doesn't touch that, should be good. Should be. Just need to keep it from touching it. Funny, there's almost more solder on here than the actual size of the resistor itself. Alright. So none of that went and touched the metal pad. All good on the other side. I still have some solder paste over here. So I'm going to go ahead and just heat this up real quick. I just want to get that melted. Actually, I'm forgetting what I was talking about doing. Go ahead and do that. Solder paste melted. And solder paste melted. Wait, did it? No, it didn't. Not on this one. Solder paste is not melting on this guy. Take it a little bit slower. There it goes. Alright, cool. We're also all good on the one that I just did. No solder paste on the edge there. Cool. Next part is going to be R47, the resistor. 7's right there. Then we got 45 and 46 right below it. And then that's the last two. Except for R57, it's like. And I'll look through my discard pile. Even though I have R43 37, 38, 52, 56 right there. So I'll look for 57. So go ahead. These guys off. This one's 47. It's funny, that thing just stopped. And it's about to heat right back up. So I heated up both sides here. Didn't seem to have as many issues, but I do have some solder paste stuck under the resistor. So after I redo this part here, I go ahead and try and get some heat under the resistor to get that to ball up and then pull the ball out. What's a good thing about this part here is there's now a ball on the other side, and I'll just elect to put this to one of the other parts. So you'll see, this thing's really hard to pick up, but you'll see right on the end of this guy, there's a little ball of solder. Go ahead and just put this like right there. Slowly heat it up. I want to blow it around, so I want to ease the gun down on it. The stick. Whatever that thing's called. I have some solder sitting on top of one of these here, so I'm going to go ahead and reheat this one. If it doesn't fall down, there you go. It did. All right. And we got the last of the Mohicans. We got 45, 46. Yep, 45 and 46. So 45 and 46 are right here. Those are really hard to see from the angle that I have. So I'm actually going to rotate this just a little bit. Rotate it like this here. I have to reseat these so I can actually get an angle on this and still let the camera see it. Cool. All right. That's where it needs to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and preheat this, see how it feels when I do it. I'm just going to go ahead, prep these guys. 5 and 46 here. Wait, that's right. I'm not putting them in yet. Let me just make sure that I can slide these directly into their hole, because this board's not going to be a cool thing to touch. Alright, cool. That one's set up. Let's go ahead and put this guy too. Oh, you can't actually see what I'm doing. That's funny. Thought you could. But what I'm doing is I'm taking one, bending it, flipping it around, and then just doing the same thing on the other side. Bending it up. You don't have to worry about which way you put in the resistors. They are blind to polarity, so it's no biggie. Let's go ahead and preheat the board right here. Touch it from the other side until it's too warm to touch right now. And then let's just go ahead and stick these guys in their holes. Why this one doesn't want to come all the way down. Probably tying itself up in the other one. There you go. Still preheated. Yeah, the board is warm now. It's not hot anymore. So go ahead and essentially tack these in. I'm going to end up turning the airflow down just a little bit. I'm about to move on to stuff that I don't want to be pushing the solder around with. Cool. A little bit more on here. I didn't put a lot on because I didn't want the two pools to touch like they're about to right now. As soon as I touch this here. Nope, it actually didn't touch. Look at that. I do have the most narrow nozzle on here too. I have 5 nozzles to work with this hot air station. Let's see, can I flip this? I cannot. But I'm going to anyway. The things don't locate in the same holes. One doesn't locate at all, so. Board's still hot. Of course. That one's kind of hard to get to. Kind of moving the heat back and forth between the two. If I had a bit of a bigger nozzle in here, I wouldn't have to do that, but yeah. Alright, cool. Visually inspect and make sure those things are good. Yep. They look good from the bottom too. So we are straight. All right, let's go ahead and put that back there. Oh, there you go. All right, where this hot air station is really going to come in is like in here with those guys with these two boards here. Anything with multiple connections, because all I have to do is take this syringe and run it along the holes with enough solder paste and then heat up the whole area, and it will all go to where it needs to go. I might have to touch certain places up, but for the most part, it should seat where it needs to seat. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to look through, make sure I didn't make a mistake. I'm going to look for 57 real quick. So I'm going to go quiet here for a second while I look at these and look for 57 to see if I messed up. 40, 22, 49, 50, 16, 19, 26, 27, 29, 42, 55, 51, 20, 18, 30, 31, 33, 34, 35, 13, 5 and 8, 3, 11 and 51, 4 and 7, 12, and 1, 6, 14, 17, 21, 44, 48, 53, 54. So again, not seeing a 57 in here. So looks like everything's populated the way it needs to be. Let me just check these guys and make sure. These are all F, FL. Diodes. This is where stuff starts getting important. I'm gonna have to take a look at the manual just so I remember which side. I'm pretty sure the red side's the positive though. 43, 38, 52, 56. Yeah, so these are all the different MOSFETs we'll need to install. So let's go ahead. Let's look over here. I'm going to set up a new scene here for us. And what we're going to do is I'm going to head and select the browser. Actually, window capture. Go ahead and get the thing open that we're going to need. All right, let me just finish getting this thing set up. New source. Here we go. Alrighty. So this is the website here where you go ahead and get the stuff ready. So we're going to go ahead and go to the 3.0 PCB. We're going to go boards, PCB, build guide, power circuits. See, are these, can I? No, that is a picture. Okay, so that says DB9, DB37. So maybe it goes along the bottom. I'm gonna look for, see if we can't find this. 373. Yep, there we go. All right, so it says if you're not using IGBT or IGBT high current driver circuit, you want to use MegaSquirt3. Okay, if you wish to install the high current ignition driver circuit, install and solder. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and look for wrong thing. We're gonna look for IGBT. Previous. All right, so you'll be using an ignition output to control coil or ignition module. You will likely be directed to jumper JS10. Okay, so this is why it's interesting. So Miss 3 extra. So one of the things that it says whenever you go to get the manual here is the mega manual is only be used for alternative BG and BNG MS1 or MS2 firmwares. And mass majority of company customers should not use it, as you'll find information misleading and confusing. Use the manuals from this current site, and I'm seeing that as being so. But the only downside is if we go to the MegaSquirt3 here, and we go to any of the manuals here, the one that I clicked on was the setup manual. You will see going through, these are all pre-built. So you can see, yeah, it's all already set up. And that's also a different board. That's the 3.57 board, which honestly looks identical to this just by looking at it. But whatever. So it looks like that is a jumper, essentially. So let me see where it goes, just so I can keep it in mind. I'm gonna go to hardware. Control F, BIP 373. We're going out of service, become harder to find, even for bulk purchases. I'm assuming these are the type of resistor it is. The Bosch BIP 373. Let's see. Yep, it's the MOSFET with the resistor. I'm assuming it's actually more so the MOSFET itself. Yeah, I think that is the MOSFET. So this goes with that MOSFET. So this is for the ignition itself. Even though I don't see it along the top, so it limits the current at 11 amps rather than 7.5 amps for the VB921. This allows for more coil current at the risk of heating the coil too much. Many coils do not support 11.5 amps or for a sustained basis. So you still want to set your dwell appropriately. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the ignition coils that I have, or that I'm going to be using, which are the AEM the AM smart coils. I can't remember what the name of the part number is. There's two of them. There's, I think it's the 5.3 and the 5.7. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the, yeah, so high performance coils, no CDI. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the specs. So max current is, maximum battery voltage is 17 volts. So that's on par with, sets the current to 11.5 amps. Max amps is 19 amps. So we are well within the amperage there. And that's also well above what this is, what the 7.5 limit is. So we would want to use the BIP 373. That's with a base dwell of 3 milliseconds. So we're gonna go ahead, and when we get to that part, wherever that might be, seeing as how we're not going to be using this manual here, I'll just keep that on the side here. Actually, what I will do, I'm gonna save it. We'll save that to my speed dial, and we're just gonna go ahead and go back here, boards, build guide, power circuits, and we're going to search for the BIP again. So, oh, it's funny. They want you to use heatsink grease or thermal paste. An insulator is not necessary for the VB21, but it is essential for the BIP 373. Ah, and I see why. Okay. So you can actually see this is showing the difference between the two ignition drivers, is what they say. So this one here is all plastic housing. This one has a plastic housing here with a metallic ground. So they want you to use the nylon washer, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I'm going to assume that means that this screw may or may not touch the case or other components, and they really don't want you to ground that out to something else. So I'm going to continue to look for this because it just shows the washer with the MOSFET, the heatsink insulator. So this is the only place that it mentions that. Signal DP. Let's see. Do not install R57. Install and solder Q16. And I think that is the one that's at the top. Yes, Q16 is at the top. Interesting. So if you look at the instructions here for the BIP 373, pretty sure, yeah, that just takes us to that part of it. If you look at all the instructions here for this part of BIP 373, the resistor is not mentioned, like, at all. Because you have R43, which is a completely different resistor. That one's actually already installed. And the settings here, or not the settings, but the I can't think of the word. The specifications for the resistor that I have here is 1/4 of a watt. So where this one is 3 watts. This is located near a DB37 connector, close to the heatsink. So if we go ahead and take a look at the board, I already have it populated. I already know I do. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue here. Yeah, we're not using any of this here. If you aren't sure what output circuit to use, check and see if your ignition is on the list of the instructions of this list. No. I'm surprised that the wait a minute. Is this for... This is not for this. Okay. The following instructions are for MS2 only if you plan on using... Okay, see, yeah, that's why... Okay, this is all weird. Alright, we're just going to ignore this. And we're going to continue to build this as we were before. So we're just going to go ahead and move on to R43 here, which is going to be this one right next to the board here. I wonder, can I just use 2? I can, but that also seems to be putting a little bit of stress on that, so I'm not going to. Cool. Alright, so we got a RS43 here. The good thing is if I do need to take anything out, I can, because we still have the schematic, and that will tell me where stuff is, seeing as how I'm not going to be able to see the actually see the things that I need to see. So I'm actually going to change these up because these were already bent. I'm going to go ahead and straighten this out and rebend it because it was bent weird. That was on a really wide radius. I want it to be a little more narrow. I think this will be a better fit. Yep, much better fit. Alright. So let's go ahead, oh shit, I hit the wrong thing. Or I hit something that I shouldn't have. Alright. Alright. Got my settings set back. Go ahead and heat up the board here. Alright, we got the board preheated. Ow, yeah, that's hot. Really probably should put some gloves on because I don't want to get the stuff on my hands, but whatever. Didn't get any on my hand the first time and I didn't wear gloves. I only wore gloves the second time. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this side up first, since I actually have line of sight on this. I actually crank up the air just a little bit. Stuff's trying to act like it doesn't want to melt. It melted to a certain point, balled up, but it didn't, there you go. Let's go ahead and get that balled up and over with the other solder. There you go. Go join your brothers. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Easy peasy. I figured that was going to happen. Solder paste on the backside is not what you would call melted. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. There we go. Cool. That is hot. Alrighty. Let's go ahead. R3738. So we have, I know we're only going to use certain drivers up top, so I'm going to go ahead and populate the rest of the board. So anything that's up here, I'm not going to put in yet. So we're going to go ahead and go over to these guys. Actually, do I want to do these? No, I don't want to do these yet. Go to the capacitors. So what I'm going to do now is I had a Ziploc bag that had all of these in it. Don't see it. That's it? Yep, this is it. Right, so I'm going to put all these baggies here, just so I have a reference to what was installed. Back into the Ziploc bag. So we got all these put away. Yeah, there's nothing in here. Cardboard sticky bits. Toss that back over there. Go ahead and get these capacitors out. So I'm actually going to tilt you guys up a little bit because your view, you're seeing a lot of nothing. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. It's actually sticking onto the tape. Alrighty, capacitor time. So I got quite a bit of these. The one thing I do want to make sure is that these capacitors are put in to the point that they need to be put in. Because like you can see, there's a lot in here. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the schematic again. So let's go ahead, go to the board. Actually, do I still have it open? I think so. Yes. All right, so typical capacitors. The component may be different, or the component and many of the remaining ones, such as resistors, capacitors, and diodes, have long leads. In general, you want to install and solder the component as close to the convenient to the PCB, then snip the leads off from the other side. Transistors are an exception for this. They should be about 1/8 of an inch off the PCB, keeping the leads short to prevent vibration-related failures down the road. Many of the component leads will have to be bent into the holes. Use round-jawed pliers. I don't have to use round-jawed pliers. I have my little tweezers for that. Alright, so this is actually the capacitors we're working with. So capacitors may be marked directly with their capacitance. If not, they are frequently marked with numbers like 105, K50, 151, K200. These multiplied by 10th to the power of the number getting... Okay, this is a little more. So C16, that is not in this baggie here. So I'm going to set the ones that it describes here aside, which is 16, 17, 16 through 19, as well as 23 and 22. So let me make sure they're not in here, because none of these appear to have long or short leads. However, some of them look like they do have a positive side. So I'm seeing 16 and 17 here. So there's 16 and 17. And the rest of them are not in these packs, which is 18, 19, 23, and 22. Seeing as how those have special instructions. But funny thing is, looking at these ones do have markings on them which appear to indicate the positive side. So I will go ahead and set those aside. The rest of these here just have numbers on them. They do not show a positive or negative. Actually, 14 and, oh, wait, 22's in this one. Okay. Set that one aside. Looks like the rest are blind, probably. Really want to be sure of this because I don't want to have to screw this up, because this is a lot of parts here. So I am going to just go ahead and check. So it shows the capacitor here, like similar to what we're going to be doing. And note that the current production boards, there's no jumper to connect. Okay, we're going to ignore that. You're going to install the components to make up the power supply and verify operation. Install the capacitor CP15. Okay, so this is honestly a step-by-step guide. I'm just looking for more so guidelines on any type of direction. So what I need to do is I need to look at the particular number capacitor, and then we'll go ahead and see what we have on the board as far as positive or negative side. So that is hard word to kind of just jump in the same. So for instance, we have C1, 3, 13, 18, 19, 23. Oh wait, 23 is in here. That was one of the ones on the list, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Okay. Actually, so was 19 and 18. Oh, wait a minute. So that's not... Yeah, okay. So certain ones have polarity, like 16. Or certain ones are sensitive to polarity, like 16. I guess we just need to pay attention to the actual capacitors themselves and look for something along the lines of positive or a unique marking telling us that it is a certain way. So we're going to go ahead and install all the blind ones here. So we're going to go C1, 3, and actually I can see C2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So T4 through 9, or C. Why am I saying T? C4 through 9, or C4 through 10. Okay. You know what? Yeah, seeing as how a lot of these aren't heat sensitive, I am going to just do these ones first. So C1. Looking for C1 on the list. I see C3 right here. So it looks like these ones are going in square silkscreen sockets. So it shows C1 somewhere in this area. Wait, oh, my finger's right below it. So C1, C3. It'll be very easy to differentiate from the resistors because these are round. So there's supposed to be 10 in this baggie. So let's go ahead and count up 10. So we got 1. These things are sticky. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna clean these off. We got a little bottle of isopropyl alcohol. It's from my 3D printer. And a paper towel, which I am just going to dab with alcohol here. Quick. Close that up, set it to the side. Because we're also going to be using the alcohol to clean off the flux that's just chilling on the board. Cool, not sticky anymore. Perfect. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. So we got 10 here. So we're going to go ahead, C1. I'm going to install these guys with the numbers and letters either facing this way or this way. So C1 is going to go in here. C3 is going to go in here. Actually, I'm going to have them go in the opposite direction. So, that way and that way. For the ones that are blind. Seeing as how these ones actually have markings on them on a certain side. So we got C1, C3. We got C13, 18. Shows 13's right here. C13, I'm not seeing 18 around it. So we got C13. So 8. C13, 18, 18. I'm not saying this 18. Oh, there's 18. 18's up here. 18, we got 19 as well. I am not seeing 19. 16, 17, 18, 22, 23, 1. Oh, there's 19. Down here at the bottom. Cool. Yep, installed in the right direction. Alrighty. So 19, 23, 26. 26 through 29. Okay. So that was 19. We got 23, which is right here. And then we got 26 through 29. There's 26, 27, 28, and 29. Cool. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to actually kind of demonstrate how this can work. So essentially what you're going to do, let's go ahead and bring you guys a little closer in. As close as you're going to be able to really see, even though it's not going to be in focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, put some solder paste along all of these here. And what you'll see when I do this, when I go and heat it up, it will actually all go into the spot it needs to go into. And I'm just doing the far sides first so that the solder paste doesn't want to make one big pool. Even though I don't think it will cause an issue, it's going to kind of avoid it from happening. All right. So you can see it's pulling up. Want to go ahead and start melting. The flux will pull the rest of it in. As you can see there, easy peasy. Just like that. No bridge connections, everything's where it should be. What I will do is I'll bend those back into place after I get these things sorted. Cool. All right. Go ahead. Bend these back. Like that, get some space between them. And then we'll just go ahead and do the center here. One big, oh god. Big old pool. And hopefully, this is going to be the first time that I'm doing this, trying to solder 4 different things at once. Hopefully, I'm going to go ahead and switch tips here. Which is going to take a second, so bear with me. The metal sounds. Use one of the turbulent tips because there's certain tips that are straight through, like this one. And there's certain tips that will give some type of turbulence to it, like that, you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of the wider turbulent tips. Oh, wait, that is not all the way on. Come on. There you go. All right, so turbulent tip. Now that kind of worked. Actually, no, it worked perfectly. It went to all 4. It looked like it only went to 2 at first, but it actually did go to all 4. I wish this thing would focus, because then you would be able to see this a lot better. But these are fully soldered into place. Go ahead and flip the board over. Oh, shit, can't flip the board over. I forgot I have stuff on here that is unsoldered. That one was that C18? Yes, that was C18. I can't grab that with my fingers, but I do not have nails, so we got C18. Decided we wanted to jump ship. All right, so that one was 26 through 29. So we got 19, 18, 13, 3, and 1. So 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so none of the other ones fell out. I'm just going to go ahead and apply solder paste to these guys. I don't really need the large turbulent tip right now. The more direct one will work better for me, but I think I might just leave it on. Those things are not exactly super simple to take off and on. Yeah, I'm actually gonna need that for this one because it's sitting right next to another contact. And also this board is not sitting. It needs to be sitting. There you go. This wire keeps wanting to jump. places it shouldn't. Cool. Yeah. Okay, no. Just no. Come on. This thing is annoying. I hate these tips. I wish there was an easier way for me to put these tips on. Alright, so we're going to start up here. Really don't want to go at this sharp of an angle because I feel like once it balls up, if one little ball decides it wants to form outside the rest, it's just going to blow across the board. Which I have had happen multiple times. Right. Come on. I see you. There you go. No. So yeah, it's trying to blow away. Oh no. See how one of the balls did blow away? Whatever. Alright, now this is where it's going to get interesting. Because we're sitting right next to another resistor. And doesn't look like it's trying to run over to it, which is good. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Alright. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these. Get their second sides. Face it up. At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start from this side. I want to go away from that. Perfect. There's a ball here that's trying. There it goes. Thank you. This is actually turning out to be a lot easier to keep it from touching other stuff. Like that it should. With this. I guess once you have all the settings and everything dialed in, it becomes a lot easier. Yeah, this one's going to need a little more pace probably. Oh, there's a ball there. There you go. Cool. First bag of capacitors down. Look at that. Next ones we got are 2, 9, 10, and 30. These ones don't seem to have any type of polarity on them. So let's go ahead and start looking for the numbers. Wait, there's 2, 9, 10. Just need to find 30. Remember that. So we got 2, 9, 10, and 30. So stick 30 in first. I think I'm just going to try and do these. Wait, is there solder in that hole? No, there's not. This thing's just not lining up correctly. So stick 1 lead in. There you go. Two. And you can see these leads on your. Oh, can't see these. Here we go. You can see that they're the same length, so. Usually, even if something doesn't show polarity, if it has some type of polarity sensitivity, it will have one lead that's longer than the other. And noticeably longer, not like 1 mil longer. Alright. So we got 2, 9. I just bent those. 10 and 30. Cool. Wonder if this solder paste will keep these guys in place. It'll probably end up moving by itself after anyway. Yeah, solder paste is actually keeping it in place. Look at that. Didn't expect that. So let's go ahead and do both sides. The thing that I find when doing both sides is especially on stuff like this, on chips it'll be a little easier. But on stuff like this, it's hard to manage to keep everything where it needs to be. As where whenever you do a chip, it's a lot easier because you don't have to worry about the solder paste going under whatever it is you're trying to solder. As well as you don't have to really worry about the pool not equally forming and it favoring one of the pins over something else. So we're just going to go ahead and get this melted up. Kind of figured that might happen. The rest of the solder paste is sucking the heat away from this. Yeah, this is where one of the bigger tips will come into play. The good thing, though, is it all seems to be going into the places it needs to be going into. I'm not really having to fight anything. So those look pretty solid. Good thing about the air is it seems like I'm able to just blow it into where it needs to go. Like, it's not the strongest air, like as you can very clearly see, like it's not making that move or anything. But it is keeping these little solder balls in their spots. And if they don't stay in their spot, it seems to be a lot easier to get them back to their spot. Don't worry about that smoke. The smoke's from the solder paste. Or not the solder paste, but the, well, yeah, technically the solder paste. But it's from the Flux. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Alright, everything's looking good. We had the 4 that were in here. 2, 9, 10, and 30. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to switch up to doing both sides, because it seems to take a lot less time when I do that. We're just going to have to go to the back side after finishing all this up. So I'm going to go ahead and leave all the leaves here on the bottom, and then we'll just trim them up at the end here. So when we start getting to the point where I think I'm going to call it for the day, excuse me, I'll go ahead and flip the board over, melt all the solder paste on the back, and yeah. So we got 4, 6, 8, 12, 15, and 31. There's 4 through 8. Oh, 4, 6, 8, 12, not 5. So 4, 6, 8, 12, 15, and 38. So 4, 6, 8. So every other one here. 12. Where's 12? All's over here. So 4, 6, 8, 12. 15. Is 15 in here? 15 is not in here. Use these guys since these are not conductive, even though it doesn't really matter. 15. Where's 15? 15's over here. 15 and 31, which is right there. So let's go ahead. This should have 6 in them. Go ahead and open this up. Should be able to count 6. And it's funny, I have things for this on this mat here. I'm gonna start using those. So we got 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's magnetic, so I don't have to worry about them going anywhere. So we got 4. 6. 8. And 12. Huh. This is why we use tweezers. 4, 6, 8. Come on. 12. 15. And 31. That's all of them. So let's go ahead and get these all pasted up. The needle is really useful here for getting in between components. Because, like, for instance, trying to do this part here wouldn't be necessarily easy. Alright, and that is all 6. Let's go ahead. this thing heat up. It heats up super quick too. Like, boom, just add it, and I just picked it up. And it cools itself down each time you put it down, so. Uh-oh. This thing is trying to jump around, so to move it back home. There you go. I bumped it with the nozzle here a couple times. No, 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 no. There you go. I tried to join the resistor that was right next to it. The good thing is that the flux seems to be seeping down into the hole, which is helping out because it's pulling it back down in. Come on. You know where you're supposed to go. So please go there. Thank you. This is... Oh, never mind. I was going to say this is not going to turn out well, this one here. But it actually did. I just saw it going into the C11 hole there, but it did not go in there. Come on. That hole is not completely blocked, so don't try and act like it is. Okay, that's better. It's funny. These capacitors are so light, it's actually blowing them back and forth. Oh, that's not good. This is actually trying to bridge them in the center. So go ahead and grab this guy. Stick it in the center because I'm like, why is this piece of solder here? There you go. Pull it out. Let's go ahead and melt it down into the copper. Alright, so that is no longer bridged. Let me make sure none of these other capacitors bridged and I missed it. Doesn't look like it at all, so yeah. Alright. Good on that front. Alright. All the capacitors we just did, which were 1, 2, there's solder on the side of this capacitor. I use a little too much on this guy. Let me do this out a little bit. As it's able to absorb what it needs to. Yeah, wait, almost. There you go. Cool. Alright. That one's good now. I'm just checking over all of them with a closer eye. Up on the leads on the bottom. Everything's looking, feeling sturdy. By the way, I love the blue PCB. I'm glad it's not just rose green like it is around the edges. So one light will be covered anyway. Because we got this guy here. And apparently we're supposed to have an insulator with this. Oh, that is... Wait. Apparently we're supposed to have an insulator with this. So... I haven't seen anything. So if we don't, I will have to buy an insulator pack before we move on to this guy. Okay. What's that? Let's see, what are we sitting at? We're sitting at about 15 minutes. Say we'll go at least another half an hour. See 11, 21, 32. Alright, so I see 11 and 32. So, got 11 here, 32 here. Just need to find 21. 21? 21's right here. So, I'm actually just going to put these on the board instead of putting them somewhere else. So we got 21. This is difficult. I thought it was going to be a lot simpler to put it in with the tweezers, but it is not. There you go. 21. I'm just going to put them with my hand. 21. 32. And 11. Let me discard that other one so I don't get that mixed up because I'm looking down at it. And it is starting to confuse me. I'm like, there are a lot more on that list than there are in this pack. So 11, 21, 32. So 32, 11, 21. Oh. Discard. Go ahead and do 32 here. I'm just gonna use this a lot less now. I feel like I've been putting a little bit too much on the capacitors. Just gonna start using less then. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera's view, but I gotta get an angle on that guy. Oh. Right. Wish I could focus this camera. It is like massively unfocused. Is it better? Mm-hmm. Oh, that actually a little better. Yep. put this like here. Focus. No. Oh, I guess this slightly out of focus. Yes, is what that means. Unfortunately. Okay. So we got those ones done. Time to do 5 and 7, which are right there. 5, 7. Going 2 that aren't occupied in that row. Come on. Come on out. You guys have been sitting in this baggie for almost a year. Time to leave. We're moving. Come on. Thank you. So we got 5 and 7. Now, if there's any type of special things about it, if there's nothing special about it, you'll just have this here, which is basic description of what it is, like the capacitance of it, where it goes. I don't know what these numbers are. It's probably just the model number for the capacitor or resistor or whatever it is. It goes into that slot. And then I think this is the length of the lead. From what I've noticed, it's like 0.2 of an inch because these ones are like super tiny. And then the other ones that are super long had like, where's it at? I don't know. I can't find one that has one that's a baggie for the one that's super long, but it will have that on there. And then you'll see something like this, which will have all the same stuff. What is going on? Holy, hold on 1 second. Minor technical difficulties. Have the camera cut out. I think the camera might be getting a bit hot. Yeah, because one side says active, the other side says webcam. I feel like that's because it's so close to the heat gun that it's freaking out. Yeah, it's not turning off. Oh wait, no, there it goes. Yep. There you go. All right. That. Go. Connected. Technical difficulties here. It should be solved rather quickly. Wow, this is not going to be used as a webcam for much longer. You cannot take the heat. Should turn back on. Turn back on. Wow, this thing is hot. Woo! I'm going to actually grab a fan here, so that this thing can cool off a little bit. Good thing is you shouldn't really hear it in the background. So I use NVIDIA broadcast, and it's pretty good at getting rid of noise like that. So I don't want to, here, let's try the AC. Yeah, of course you can hear it. Turn. Alrighty. Alrighty. I also just realized that this entire time I've had on my headset and I've not had anything playing. So I just had a headset on my head. Alrighty. Alright, cool. So you can't hear the AC. It is going to cool off the here for a second. Let's go ahead and turn it off, actually. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just gonna switch the scene so you're not looking at a broken screen for a second. Of course this would happen. Seriously? Alrighty. Let's go. I finally got it fixed here. Why? Okay, there it goes. Wait, maybe. I'm not getting a preview. This thing is not showing the webcam. Why is it showing that it's paused? Why are you paused? We almost had it. Almost. Hold on. Just one more team. I'm gonna try and put battery in. Let's see if that fixes my issue. Be a problem in the first place, but it probably is. This camera, GoPro's on. So we are back. I don't know why the thing was acting like that. So where we had left off was if something's not like doesn't have anything special about it, it will just have where it goes, the capacitance or the pretty much the specifications of whatever the component is, along with its model number. And if it does have something special about it, like these, for instance, these are sensitive to polarity, so it has the plus and minus there, so you know it has to be installed in a specific manner. And these will actually have, there's no way I'm going to be able to show this on the webcam because it's not going to focus, but there's actually a little plus sign on the capacitor itself. So let's go ahead and continue where we left off. We're doing C and 5, or C5 and C7. Go ahead and get some music in here for you guys. There you go. So we were working on C5 and C7. Those are the only two that are still open in the center of the board here. So let's go ahead and drop C5 in and C7. C5, C7. I'll lean that forward a little bit. Same goes for that one. All right. Just going to do one side at a time for this because it's in a very, very tight spot. Not really any heat in this board anymore, so it's going to take a second to get this first one hot and where it needs to go. There you go. All right. So moving on to this guy here. Just using the tweezers to make sure they stay in the spot they should be in. All right. Let's go ahead and jump to the other side. Good thing is now the board's preheated, so things are flowing a lot quicker. Like that one's done. And so is that. Wait, no, it's not. Not completely. Moved it a little prematurely. Let's go ahead and move that out of the way. And there you go. Alrighty. There you go. So now, C5, C7, done. In the trash. C20 is going to be the next one. And I don't have my schematic on the screen anymore. You guys see it. C20 is... where? C20 is over here. There you go, C20. And then 24 is right here, right next to it. So let me go ahead and stick 20 in its spot. And then we'll pop out 24 and do the same for it. So we got C20. Actually, before I do that, let me preheat this just a little bit. Because now we have the air conditioner on, so this is going to take a good old amount of time. Alright. So the board's now preheated. Careful putting these in so you don't burn yourself, Derek. There you go. And 24. I'm actually going to tear this one because it's not wanting to come out. This is the only one so far out of all of these that I've had to tear, because it's been coming off relatively easily up until this point. Alright, so try and get them straightened out a bit. Just a little bit. Enough to get them in there. Alright, so now we got 24. Cool. Man, that thing is so noisy. So let's go ahead and move that away a little bit. Right. This one. Right. 20 and 24, done just like that. And last but not least, 25. Well, that was a sudden change in the music. Okay. I am fighting with this Ziploc. Thank you. So this one here is 25. Where's 20? There's 25. It's right there. Right next to the part of the board that's already preheated, so. Oh, I dropped it. Come on. I think after do these, we're going to install some MOSFETs, and then we'll get into it. Actually, no, we'll install the other capacitors, seeing as how we're pretty much done with those. So, 25. There aren't nearly as many capacitors on this board as there are resistors. So, we legitimately have 4 more capacitors, and then it's done. There was only one in this baggie. It goes here. So let's go ahead. Get this on here. It's making one big pool. Of course it is. This is proving quite hard to melt now. I'm gonna blame the AC for that. Go ahead and fall down into the board, buddy. There you go. All right. Go ahead and check my connections. Make sure that nothing is bridging. Doesn't look like anything is. Everything's straight through. All right, cool. Next. Starts to get to the interesting stuff. We have the polarity sensitive materials. So we have C14 and 22. Go ahead and find 14. 14's up here. And I'm assuming 22 is going to be another straight circle like that. So 22 is right there. And it shows the positive as a square and the negative as a circle. It also has a positive right as well. So see if I can get an illustration here in a second and show you if I have a pen nearby. Yes, I do. All right, so let's see which side of this is positive. That side is positive. So you want to stick it in there like that. You definitely don't want these bridge positive. There's a positive for that. Okay, so pretty much how this is showing up on here is like this. So you got the hole on the board, the hole's on the board, and on one side you have a silver ring, which will be represented by the black, and a silver square, which will also be represented by the black. And then somewhere around the silver square, you have a plus sign. So for instance, on this one here, it's flipped. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I can't do that. So it's flipped over here. It's actually on the other side, but how it's set up is pretty much just like this. So you got a little silver circle, and then the silver square, and then the positive right next to that. So it's actually visually, you can tell the difference between where the leads go in to the board, in addition to having that positive marker right there, silk screen as well. So on this one here, we got the positive. Actually, no, that's the way that this is exactly how it is on here. So it's pretty much, it's facing me like this. And on this guy, we have a positive on one side, printed on the capacitor itself. Let me make sure I have that right. Yep. So that we have it in the right place. I am going to lift these up just a little bit so that I can actually get to it. Because at this current point, I actually cannot touch the, I'm going to use the tweezers here, and we'll do it one side at a time. This is going to be interesting. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right, let's try our best not to bump the capacitor with the syringe. Let's just get the thermal paste in here. There you go. Got a little bit in there. Let's see if the air is going to blow the capacitor around. I'm assuming not, because this is a much bigger capacitor. Let's see how this works out. So all I did is I rested the tip of the tweezers on top, or not on top, in between the PCB and the capacitor itself. Oh god, I just bumped it. Luckily, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. So this capacitor is actually absorbing a lot of the heat itself, I'm seeing. It is starting to get a little darker, which is probably what's causing my troubles right now. But move that out the way. Get access from the other side. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's turn up the airspeed a little bit. Turn it up to a 50. Because it is sitting a distance away from where it was before. Perfect. Turn the air back down. 35. Actually able to get to it. Let me make sure that this thing looks all right. Ah, it's bridging in the back. Okay, well, we can fix that here easily. Let's go ahead and spin it around so I can see it. Turn the heat back, or the air back up. Yeah. Yeah, so that looks like probably fixed my problem. Yes, it did. Okay. Perfect. And it actually oh, dropped that one out by accident. I actually partially soldered the other one. Not completely, but partially. So I think I'm going to actually solder the other one from the other side of the board. It's a little easier for me to get to. So let's go ahead. Ow, I'm stabbing myself so many times. Solder this one from this side. Make it a little. Oh, trying to get the air down a lot. It's about to cause a lot of issues there. Okay, that was a lot easier. Didn't put very much on this thing to start out with, so put a little bit more. There you go. Nice. Alright, let's make sure it didn't bridge on the other side. It most certainly did. Alright. And it didn't like solidify, it's just a thermal paste, so should be able to crank up the air here and blow it out. So it might have mainly been flux. Nope, it's still very much there, just on the other side now. Back along the front side. I'm not touching the nozzle to the board. FYI. Okay. Alright, everything looks good. Alright, let's grab this resistor back. That was interesting, to say the least. So, got this resistor back, put it back in its spot. Got 22. Positive. Bam. Let's try and do this one a little differently. See if I can't adopt different method. I'm going to lean it forward. Or not, I guess. There you go. Lean it forward. Let me turn down the air. What? Go. Almost there. There it goes. Wait. Almost, 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 almost. I just moved it before it solidified too. Luckily, it didn't burn me. All right. This is going to be the interesting part. Let's try and solder this one to the board. If I have an issue with anything, it's going to be with these two guys here. Because really not giving me any space here to work with. And it's still trying to bridge, which is amazing. Let me see if I can't heat this up just a little bit. Just enough to pick up the little beam. Oh, wait. Actually, just heating it up a little more. Looks like it fixed my bridge. No, the bridge just moved to the other side. Okay. Yeah, it's bridging. I feel like mainly because of the simple fact that it's laying on the board in a way that it didn't with the other ones. So, can't really get an angle on this and see it, because I don't think I can. Yep, that is not working. Hold on. For this one, I'm going to have to switch up my tactics here real quick. Hold the board a little differently. So that I can actually see what I am doing. Yeah, my airspeed is way too low. Turn that up to a 40. Starting to heat up the stuff around it with that high of an airflow, but I think I'm finally fixing my problem here. Honestly, super hard to tell, but looks like we might be good. Looks like we might actually be good. What I'm gonna do, just in case, is just lift this up a little bit. That way, if there is any stuck under, it won't be for much longer. Mainly heating up the tips of the tweezers here, unfortunately. Get a better angle at this. Yeah, these ones, these style are definitely a lot harder to do with the hot air station. This would be a lot easier with the solder gun. Or the soldering iron, because I would have just went in from the other side and did it. And I would have just done it on the surface. There you go. Heated it up enough to be able to lift it off the board. And that seemed to have fixed my issue. Cool beans. I just need to remelt the solder on the other side now, because I lifted it up a little bit too high, so it's sitting lower down on the lead. But that one's good. All right, let's move on to C16 and 17, which are, of course, right next to the one that I just did. I think we'll actually call it after this one, even though I want to get some of the cooler stuff done on this board. And this is one of the board, or one of the capacitors that actually has stuff that I need, or the leads, like I was saying. You can see how it's an obvious difference in the length. Longer one is always a positive, and this one actually happens to say it on there as well. So let's go ahead and go through the hole. And the good thing is that the holes aren't as wide as the leads are, so I get to bend these out just a little bit. And I think I'm going to do 16 first. That way I have full access to it. And then I can do 17. So we're going to go ahead and stick this down pretty much as far as we can without forcing it. Let's go ahead. These are going to be a lot easier because there's a lot of space on the PCB or on the board here for me to actually work with. So I can turn my air back down. I'm gonna actually turn it down just a little bit, not as far down as I had with the resistors, because those were holding a lot less heat than these capacitors can. So go ahead here. And this one's gonna look a little different than the others, just because of the simple fact that it can't. It's gonna pull on the top a little more because of the square hole. There's a little more surface area on top here for the solder face to stick on, and I think I'm actually gonna do those two at the same time. So we go ahead and get these guys spread a little bit. Go. 17. Ready. 16 and 17. Unfortunately, the board's going to cool down pretty quickly. I can feel this camera getting very hot. Yeah, the camera's pretty toasty. It's actually not that hot. A little hot, not too hot. Alright, so I got the positive leads soldered down. Go ahead and put some paste on the negative side here. And we will be done with these guys. And I think what I'll do is actually I'll solder in the F1 and then the U6 chip that's here. Just to kind of fill out this side of the board. Come on, Flex, do your job. There you go. Just couldn't really get the angle on it. All right. This guy all heated up. I got a little bit of a soldering paste on the capacitor itself, so I'm just going to blow it down real quick. Cool. All right. So now with that all done, most of the board here is actually filled out. So all we're really going to do, I think, hold on. So we're pretty close to actually being able to solder everything else on here. As far as like chips go, because it looks like we just have a few more capacitors. And then we have the resistors up top. I have a couple diodes over here, one up there. I don't know what these U markings are or what goes in those U spots, but for instance, we have this I'm blanking. Oh, it says it right there, pot. We have this potentiometer here, which is R52. For instance, we'll go right there. And it actually has a little marking for where the adjuster would go. So, for instance, what we would do for this guy is we would... I feel like the best way to do this one would be to solder it under the board. So what we would do is put some paste in the holes, like so. And then I'll take something like this guy here. Maybe. This is actually kind of flimsy, but yeah. I'll need it to be super strong. As a card, sweep it in the holes like that. And then we'll take it out. This thing's actually kind of heavy for this. Stick it in. Grab it like this. Come on. Flip it over. And then add a little more paste to the other side because it all seemed to end up on the tips. We'll just add a little paste to the base. These guys. And heat it up without burning yourself, Derek. Ah ha 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 ha. That positive, ow, ow. That positive is connected right to the top of the potentiometer. Ow. Okay, yeah, that almost burnt me. That almost burnt me. Ow. So this is going to be interesting. I think I'm just going to set it on top. So, for instance, what we'll do is this. That way I don't have to worry about burning myself. And I can just do this super quick. Yeah, wait, almost. Soldered. 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 All right, and it's been soldered in place. Almost, pretty much. You can see it's actually crooked. So, oh, that's because it's not soldered in place. Oh no, it is actually. Well, I'm going to set it on the edge. flat, and then reach by this. Alrighty. That should be good. All right, and this is soldered to the board. Not super sturdily, but it's on there. Honestly, I'll just probably end up reinforcing this. I wanted to do something that was different from everything else we've been doing up to this point. So I feel like that is... it's on there. I mean... so... yeah, I'll probably reinforce it on the other side, but since we're going to be ending the stream here, let's go ahead and just clean up the other side. And once we do so... make sure all this stuff is all good and straight, like it should be. We got this guy to do. Allergies are really kicking my butt this year, so. Sorry if these sniffles are super loud. I'm just remelting any solder paste that I'm seeing out on the opposite side of the board. It's really easy to tell if you got solder paste because instead of it being shiny, like the solder is, it has that matte finish to it. The good thing is that everything I'm pretty much doing is right next to something else. So the board's keeping its heat. It's making it a lot easier to do this. Taking a lot less time. Alrighty. Nope, there's a couple more over here. Almost. Right. Looks like everything. Wait. There's just a little bit of solder paste left on this guy here. Oh, crap. There's a whole bunch in here too. Almost. Come on. All right. That is definitely everything. Just need to start snipping. There is, however, some solder paste sitting on top of this guy. Here you go. Was sitting like halfway up the actual diode, or diode, sitting halfway up the lead. So let's just go ahead and start snipping. These are some of those sticky ones. Almost makes you regret not just clipping these immediately afterward, because then there's a whole bunch of them to do. But, I mean, it's not too bad. All I'm gonna do is just tap them off the board after I snip all of these. As you can see, they're acting a bit magnetic and sticking to the flush cuts, which is kind of annoying. But, it's whatever. Kind of getting in the way. Okay, they're starting to fly everywhere now. Probably. Yep. Let's get these off of here. Alrighty. Almost done. I can see the end. The end is near. So near. Okay. So very, very near. Last 2. And 1. There you go. Board has been cleaned up of all of the leads. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't do the potentiometer, but I'm not entirely sold on its security, so probably gonna go in and redo part of it. You can see the 3 that's sticking up in the middle here. So I'm gonna go back and do that, but as you can clearly see, our board's actually starting to look like an actual functioning board, which has got a little bit more to do, honestly. The bulk of it's done. We just gotta put in a couple diodes in here, the MOSFETs up top, some of the chips that go here. It looks like this board only has 4 chips. There's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 there. Not really seeing any more. Gotta solder on the connectors, which will be super easy. That will actually give me a chance to put this big chungus tip to use. This thing is massive compared to like this guy. As you can see, that's that little tip. And there's this guy. This one can literally fit inside of that. So that ought to be interesting to do those 2 connectors down the sides. But after we do this, I think the expansion board needs assembled, and then like we have a daughter board as well. So this is the daughter board here, which will plug into, I think right here, I'm pretty sure, or more like that. It'll plug in like that into whatever goes in here. And yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, it just kind of plugs in like that. That's funny. It's already on here. I'm assuming. I don't know if this comes off here or not. Oh yeah, definitely does. Okay, so I'll take this off whenever we get to that point, but this part here is going to get soldered in here so this guy can sit up here. And this is the daughter board to the MegaSquirt. Looks like there's a couple things here where you're going to have to put in. It says it has some machine screws, some standoffs. It's like 2 other pieces. This might actually be the plug that this plugs into. And then there's also, I feel like there's another board. But that might be it. I can't really remember off the top of my head if that's it or not, but we got that. And we got some plugs that need to be assembled. You can see here. So those are the plugs that go on either side. And then you got the, oh yeah, so this is the last board that's going to need to be assembled. This guy here is the M3 MS3 expansion board. So the thing that makes us able to be full sequential ignition instead of just bulk firing and bulk fuel. So get independent fuel and everything to each individual cylinder. I think up to 10 cylinders, 10 or 8, which is what this supports here. So after we do this, we can jump straight to this. And then once we're done with this, it'll be all done. We can just go ahead and assemble the whole ECU. So the ECU actually, stand you guys up for this. So the ECU actually has this little box here, as you can see. And you can see it's just a brushed aluminum box. So I actually want to do a design for this. I'm thinking about putting the Fatal RPM logo on it. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll take suggestions down in the comments, because it looks like we don't have anybody in here at the moment. So go ahead and leave some comments down below if you have an idea of what to put on this box, or like colors or whatnot to paint it. But other than that, it's pretty much going to be it. I'm finished up here. I'm just going to clean up a little bit. But thank you for watching. If you made it all the way through to the end, you're the real one. Thank you very much. Go ahead and like the hit the like button if you like the video. Also subscribe. And if you're looking forward to more live streams and more videos in the future for the 300ZX or my 335Xi, go ahead and hit the subscribe button along with the bell icon right next to it, so you get notified whenever I drop a new video or start a new live stream. But as always, I want to thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.